What's going on, guys? It's Sebastian here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a brand new video on 5 meals that can help you either shred or lose weight. So let's get started. Starting off with our first meal, I'm going to keep it really simple for you guys. It's just a bowl of cereal, but it can't be any type of cereal. I personally use Kellogg's Vanilla Almond because it's low on fat, low on sugars, good on carbs, it has some fiber, and it also has a little bit of protein. For this first meal, you can't just go out and choose like Frosted Flakes or Fruity Pebbles or like Lucky Charms or any of those extremely high sugary cereals. You want to try to get one that's low on sugars and fats. Once you got your cereal, it's time to look at the milk. A lot of people overlook this. They just get 2% or 1% or 3% or whatever milk they normally get, and it's usually high in fat. If you really want to lose weight or shred, you have to get 0% milk. It has 0 fat in the milk. A lot of people don't actually realize how much fat they're getting from their milk. So if you were to just cut this out from your diet, that's a huge fat loss right there. That's the first meal. Taking a look at it, you have almost no fat, good amount of complex carbs, a little bit of sugar, protein, and fiber, pretty much all you need for a good healthy diet. Moving on to meal number 2, it is the classic bodybuilder meal, chicken and rice, but you can substitute the chicken for any type of meat or fish, so it could be steak or salmon or halibut. It's up to you, whatever you like the most. Now I know this may not be the most tasty meal, but you gotta sacrifice somewhere if you're trying to lose weight or shred. You gotta eat your meals for a purpose and not necessarily for the enjoyment of just eating it. It's just what you gotta do sometimes. For your rice, just try to find any that has pretty much no fat. I like 5-minute rice. And then when I'm cooking it, I don't add any butter or margarine just to minimize the amount of fat that I'm putting into my meals. But if you feel like you have to put some sort of butter or margarine in it, trust me, use margarine. It is 100 times better than butter. There's no trans fat, and it's pretty much all healthy fat. There's only 1.5 grams of saturated for every 8 grams of fat, compared to butter that has trans fat and a lot of saturated fat. Trust me. Moving on to your meat and fish, you're going to want to try to get a piece that isn't too high on the fat, so it's got to be pretty lean, especially if you're trying to lose weight. Because when you're cooking it, if you cook it on a pan, you're gonna have to lather it up with margarine or something to keep it from sticking, and that's where a lot of the fat is gonna come from. Me personally, I do cook it on the pan, and I do use margarine. I use Becel, extremely healthy for you. Even though it's high in fat, it's a lot of good fats. But yeah, the meat is pretty self-explanatory. It's just gonna be high in protein with a little bit of fat. Overall, looking at this meal, you have your rice, which is going to be high in carbs, 0 fat, 0 sugar, and then you're gonna have your meat, which is gonna be high in protein with a little bit of fat. Again, this meal is pretty much hitting every single target that you want in your diet, which is why it is the classic bodybuilder meal. Good for bulking, good for leaning out, good for everything. You just gotta make sure your proportions are suited to your needs. For the third meal, to me, this is honestly my favorite meal out of all of them. You're gonna need some whole wheat bread, peanut butter, low-fat granola, low-fat yogurt, and any fruit of your choice. When you're picking out your whole wheat bread, try to make sure there isn't too much fat in it. As for the peanut butter, there's no way to get around the fat, but that's okay because you need some source of fat in your diet, so don't worry about that. I keep it simple and just use some Kraft smooth peanut butter, nothing special. For my granola, I like to use maple almond. The one that I get is from Longo's, is low in fat, good on carbs, fiber, and protein. Just a really good granola, very healthy. As for my yogurt, I actually get 0% as I don't really care for the flavor, since the flavor mostly comes from the granola and the fruit, so I don't mind having 0% bland yogurt. And then for my fruit, I decided to have strawberries, but you can have whatever you want. You can have raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, bananas, mango, pineapple. It's up to you, whichever fruit you like the most. So looking at this meal, you have carbs from your bread and granola, which also have a little bit of protein in it. You got your healthy fats from the peanut butter, as well as just a little bit more protein. And then you got all those vitamins and minerals from the fruit and the yogurt. Again, just like the other 2 meals, this one hits everything, which is why these meals are so healthy and good for cutting weight and shredding. Going on to the 4th meal is really simple. It's just pasta with margarine. But when you're cooking it, you want to make sure you get a good amount of pasta because it's all you're eating and you need to last until your next meal. When you're picking out your pasta, you want to make sure you get either no fat or low fat. The one that I chose is capellini, and in 300 calories of it, or 1 serving, there's only 1 gram of fat, which is honestly really good. It allows room for you to add more fat into it with something else, which is why I put in the margarine. Looking at this meal, pasta is so good for you. It gives you so much protein and so much carbs with so little fat, which is why I put in the margarine, because it's good to have some healthy fat in your diet. Finally, the last meal for my video. This one's also pretty simple. It's just eggs with cream of wheat. How many eggs and how much cream of wheat you should have is dependent on what your goal is and how many calories a day you need to eat. One tip that I can give you for the eggs is make sure you cut the amount of yolks you have in half. So if you're having 4 eggs, use only 2 yolks. If you're having 3 eggs, use 1 yolk. I know that's not half, but the lower the better. Or if you want, just use egg whites, because that's honestly the best thing. Or even mix them, it's up to you. The cream of wheat is pretty simple. You just gotta figure out how much you want to eat and then add the amount of water you gotta add. Not much to that. But for the last time, overall for this meal, your eggs, you got your protein and fats in there, and then your cream of wheat's gonna give you the carbs and minerals. Just like all 4 other meals, this meal hits every target of your diet. I've said this so many times. These meals are catered towards an ideal diet for losing weight. They're very low in fat and good on carbs and protein. One key thing that you need to remember is to lose weight, you need a caloric deficit. So if you eat these meals and you're eating more calories than what you normally eat with them, you're not gonna lose weight. You need to have a caloric deficit, so just remember that. Make sure your meals are proportionate to how many calories you need to eat. That's all for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. I hope it helps you out. If it does, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff for me. It helps me out so much. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.